is Seth Meyers. This is Late Night. We hope you're doing well. And now, if you don't mind, we're going to get to the news. President Biden spoke at the Democratic National Convention last night. He gave a rousing speech that lasted for 45 minutes. And I got to say, it was a little like running into someone a month after you broke up with them. And they look good, and they're funny, and they're fiery. And you think to yourself, I'm still glad we broke up. But good for you. Good for you. In his speech last night at the DNC, President Biden thanked First Lady Dr. Jill Biden and told the crowd that his heart still beats a little faster whenever he sees her coming down the stairs, and when Joe's on the stairs, everyone's heart beats faster too. The primetime program of the Democratic National Convention ran late last night, and President Biden did not speak until after 11 p.m. Eastern time. But hey, just because something's on late at night, it doesn't mean it's not important. You know? I mean, people stay up if they really want to see something, right? Or, at least watch it on YouTube the next day. During President Biden's speech last night at the DNC, delegates held up signs that read, "We love Joe" and "Thank you, Joe." And then, after an hour, held up different signs. While getting a cheesesteak yesterday at Pat's King of Steaks in Philadelphia, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance asked an employee why they don't serve the sandwich with Swiss cheese, and NBC can now project the state of Pennsylvania for Kamala Harris. U.S. intelligence agencies confirmed yesterday that Iran attempted to hack former President Trump, President Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris's campaigns. Damn! RFK even being left out of that. And it would be so easy with facial recognition to hack him. You just hold up a baseball glove. Disgraced former Congressman George Santos pleaded guilty yesterday to wire fraud and identity theft, and just for the attention, the attack on Nancy Kerrigan. Britain's Prince William has reportedly not spoken to Prince Harry in almost 2 years. Of course, for two men, that's a completely normal amount of time. Want to talk to your brother? Start a podcast, right? That's what I did. An archaeologist in Turkey recently discovered what is believed to be an itemized receipt dating back to the 15th century BC. And this is weird. It even contains a link to a brief survey. Always do it. That's something you can expect from Myers. I'll always take the brief receipt survey because it matters. And finally, a cat that had been missing for several weeks was recently found 10 miles from his home in Boston, which, if nothing else, should give you an idea about the traffic in Boston. And that was a monologue, everybody. We are off and running with a fantastic show for you tonight. He's an Emmy-winning and Oscar-nominated actor you know from Batman, Birdman, Spotlight, Dope Sick, so many more. He's back as the title character in Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice in theaters September 6th. Michael Keaton's back, everybody. Michael Keaton is back. The New York Times called him a distinctively independent artist in an article entitled Conor O'Malley's Intensely Funny, Deeply Stupid Manosphere. You know his work from I Think You Should Leave, Joe Pera Talks With You, and the years he spent writing for this show. You guys, Late Night's prodigal son, Conor O'Malley, is back on the show tonight. Conor's back. Like I mentioned, my brother and I, we have a podcast. We interviewed Giovanni Ribisi this week. He's a fascinating guy. Do check it out. It was a delightful conversation. Moving on, you guys, summer's coming to a close. People are gearing up for fall weather. They're getting their kids ready for school, and that includes my writers. You know, they have to write hundreds of jokes every day just to get the 10 or 12 we use in the monologue, and honestly, a lot of those jokes just aren't good. Sometimes I think they throw in a few stinkers on purpose just to fill the page and meet the assignment. But just because sweater weather is right around the corner, that doesn't mean we can tolerate laziness, which means it's time for another surprise inspection. Here's how this works. I'm gonna read some real jokes, really submitted by my writers. Some are dumb, some are offensive, some are just insane. Most importantly, my writers don't know we're doing this, and because they don't watch the show, they'll never know. Let's get started. Today was World Mosquito Day, but I don't have all the deets. Which is a bad joke for so many reasons. One, why would I have the deets? That was Matt Goldich who wrote that. Our cool guy writer. Authorities in Italy are looking for a young woman who was caught in a video kissing, humping, and grinding on a statue of Bacchus. To be fair, he was already rock hard. Okay. By encouraging him, you're abetting a crime. That was written by Brian Donaldson right there. Cool guy. Other cool guy. New York Mayor Eric Adams this week unveiled the city's first official trash bins, and they are Queens and Staten Island. No, come on. I'm just kidding, Queens. Scollins wrote that joke. There's Mike Scollins right there. And the fact that Scollins wrote that joke is not going to do me any favors when I'm getting roughed up in Staten Island. It wasn't me. According to a new analysis, the Republican policy blueprint, Project 2025, would cause a surge in emissions like J.D. Vance when he sees a couch. That joke doesn't work because it's not true. He didn't have sex with a couch. Goldich did. Today was former President Bill Clinton's 78th birthday, so now it's some candles' turn to get blown. Scully. Some bipartisan around him. Last two jokes. According to a new study, horses are more intelligent than originally thought. Yeah. Tell that to the Godfather one. I want to be in a movie. Scollins. So I guess in the logic of that joke, there was a horse that heard he was going to be in the movie The Godfather. And he got really excited because he's dumb. And then they cut off an actual horse's head. They didn't use a prop horse's head in order for that joke to do what it did. 2 beluga whales were rescued from an aquarium in Ukraine and flown to Spain. That story again. The whales in Spain came on planes from Ukraine. Allie wrote that joke, and I gotta be honest. Allie's jokes always kind of work. They always kind of work. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer signed a bill into law last week that makes necrophilia a felony. They were gonna add a section about bestiality, but that's beating a dead horse. Donaldson. The organizers of the annual Naked in a Cave event, held in upstate New York, have announced that this year's gathering will be the last because people weren't being careful around the shaft. So that joke might almost work if it was naked in a mine. Because mines have shafts. Caves don't. Scollins. Is Scollins the next one, too? Let's see the subway joke. Okay. So just going into this joke, know that this is also the guy who wrote the one you're about to hear, just to tamp down whatever excitement you might have. The sandwich chain Subway, so again, you want to get ahead of it. Scollins wrote a Subway joke. The sandwich chain Subway reportedly held an emergency meeting last week with franchisees. Apparently, they just heard. There's only like 6 people left. Scollins again, that was Scollins who was saying. Also, Scollins is from, for this last joke, which is also Scollins, I do think it's important to say that Scollins is from Massachusetts. He's not about to do the state proud. And finally, a woman in Massachusetts recently gave birth on the side of the highway near a Dunkin' Donuts. And if I know Massachusetts women, that's also where she got pregnant.